The Ardennes Forest, December 1944. This quiet sector of the American front line is thinly manned by some 30,000 tired or green troops. Little do they realize that Hitler is about to launch his final offensive of the war, an audacious attack through the Belgian Ardennes.
Zur Überraschung der Feindseite treten in den Morgenstunden des 16. Dezember starke deutsche Kräfte aus dem Westwall heraus zu einem völlig unerwarteten Angriff an. V1 und die Feuergeschosse der Nebelwerfer bringen plötzlich Vernichtung in und hinter die feindlichen Linien. Hunderte von Batterien aller Kaliber tragen den Tod in den Feind. Marschieren die deutschen Kolonnen. Sturmgeschütze und Panzer sind in kraftvollem Vorstoß in die vom Feinde besetzten Dörfer eingedrungen.
US forces resist fiercely but are gradually pushed back.
Eine halbe Stunde nach Angriffsbeginn. Die ersten Gefangenen passieren die deutschen Linien.
Lieutenant Colonel Jochen Peiper led Kampfgruppe Peiper, a battle group drawn from the elite 1st SS Panzer Division Leibstandarte Adolf Hitler. His task was to surge ahead of the German lines and reach the Meuse River, opening the gateway for the German attack on Antwerp. Peiper crossed into Belgium on the 16th of December 1944. His largest tanks were a unit of 25 King Tigers of SS Panzerabteilung 501. He then captured a US fuel dump at Honsfeld and continued on to the village of Malmedy. Here, units of the 1st SS Panzer cold-bloodedly shot over 80 American prisoners of war before moving on, their target the River Meuse. Kampfgruppe Peiper moved on through thick pine forest, heavy with snow, towards the village of Trois Ponts and its vital bridges. The 18th of December, Peiper ran into stiff resistance at Stavelot. Leaving a blocking force in place, Peiper directed the bulk of his forces towards Trois Ponts. But when they arrived, Kampfgruppe Peiper discovered that US Army engineers had blown up the bridges needed to move the German armour across the River Amblève, and were offering stiff resistance. Peiper's armour ran out of fuel, and he was forced onto the defensive. 6 King Tigers had made it to La Gleize. Peiper positioned numbers 213 and 221 near the village church, their powerful 88mm guns covering approaches to the village from the east and southeast. Peiper awaited an emergency airdrop of fuel by the Luftwaffe, but they dropped most of it onto the US lines accidentally. On the 22nd of December, Kampfgruppe Peiper's 213 and 221 engaged American Sherman tanks at a range of about 2,000 yards. They scored many hits, knocking out several American tanks, but the Shermans concentrated all their fire on the 2 German tanks. SS Lieutenant Dollinger's 213 had the front third of its gun blown off, while SS Second Lieutenant Handtuscher's 221 received damage to its reversing mechanism. Both tanks were abandoned by their crews. Peiper eventually abandoned his vehicles, and he and his men walked 20 miles through the snow back to the German lines. In La Gleize alone, 6 King Tigers and 13 Panther tanks were left behind. In the summer of 1945, US Army cleanup crews arrived in La Gleize and began towing the German tanks away for scrapping. Kampfgruppe Peiper's 213, located up a narrow, curving little road beside the church, was difficult to move and was the last to be tackled. As it was being towed away, local bar owner Jenny Geenan ran out and bought the tank for a bottle of cognac. She believed it should remain in the village as a war memorial. In 1951, the King Tiger's gun was repaired with parts taken from 2 wrecked Panther tanks, then moved to its current position outside the local war museum, and in 1975 it was overhauled and repainted. It remains a potent symbol of the Battle of the Bulge, Germany's last throw of the dice in the West.